In 2025, we have seen a lot of crypto airdrops. We've seen that some be extremely successful, which I would say some of those would be the likes of Meteora and a few others that are kind of in the neobank space. And then we've seen others that have just been awful. I mean, terrible to likes of Monad, where they've just underperformed by degrees that are hard to really put into words. But either way, one of the biggest crypto airdrops is getting ready to happen potentially in the next couple of days, and that is none other than Lighter. We've been talking about Lighter for a long time, especially after we saw a ton of excitement at the beginning of the year into mid of the year as we saw a growth in perp dexes. We saw the likes of Aster. There was a plethora of perp dexes that started to come out after we saw the growth of Aster. We saw Paradex, we saw EdgeX. We've just seen a ton of them in 2025. And one of the biggest is potentially getting its airdrop and token launch in just a couple of days. So we're going to talk about what you need to know about Lighter, how to prepare, and what to expect in today's video. If you're new here, my name is Alex. We talk about crypto news, crypto passive income. If you enjoy content like that, consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like. Without further ado, let's end the video. So I really want to cover three things in today's video. Talk about what are some of the details that we already know as far as the airdrop coming up. Talk about what the potential value of the airdrop could be. And then lastly, talk about how you can take advantage of trading the potential for a lot of prediction markets that are surrounding the likes of Lighter. Because there's like $50 to $60 million in trading volume on three different markets for Lighter. And we're going to talk about it in today's video. So the biggest thing is to understand what could the value of Lighter be as far as the overall fully diluted valuation, because that plays a role into everything else that we're going to be looking at, from the amounts of the airdrop to the valuation to some of these prediction markets. So right now, when you look at Lighter, it is the number one perp dex based off of 24-hour trading volume. It's sitting at 4.75 billion, which is almost double that, or in fact, more than double that of the likes of Hyperliquid, which to me is kind of insane. But you do have to understand a lot of these people, a lot of this volume is volume that people are pushing to get as many points as possible farming the airdrop. The biggest criteria that I think most people should always pay attention to is open interest, which that was very, very laggy, but we're going to just change this real quick. And that puts Lighter still in the top three based off of overall open interest, which is still really, really good. About 75% of that of what you see with Aster, and then significantly less than what you see with Hyperliquid, which I would say most would gauge this criteria as far as evaluation for a project based off of the open interest, because that doesn't change as much when it comes to the volume of trades happening. So I think most people, once we see the token actually launch, we may not see as much volume. I think the volume will die down a little bit, but you have to realize a lot of people take advantage of the zero fees either way. So I think if we look at a valuation standpoint, it's going to be somewhat less than the fully diluted valuation of Aster. And that is the number one thing to kind of consider when going into this. Now, when you take a look at everything right now that we've seen with the likes of Lighter, for me, I currently am sitting at 20 points so far. Unfortunately, kind of my mistake not farming this enough, because I got distracted with other different perp dexes. I just didn't trade enough on likes of Lighter as I traded on Aster. And whether or not that's going to bite me in the end, maybe, maybe not. But in the end, I'm still going to be happy with the airdrop that I get from the likes of Lighter. Now, when you take a look at the points in the points comparison, that has a lot of questions as to what could that value potentially be. So I just plugged this into a Lighter airdrop calculator. I'll leave a link to this down below because I want to kind of gauge an idea of what could this be worth. Now, the biggest thing, there's still a lot of unknowns for the tokens that you receive compared to the points that are distributed. So for each point, how many tokens are you going to get? Now, right now, the expectation is to be around 20 to 25 tokens per point. So When you take a look at the total points rewarded, that's sitting at right now at 12 million in total. When you look at the fully diluted valuation, you're kind of able to gauge this based off of the pre-market trading. Now, we already know there's going to be 1 billion tokens in total. So if the pre-market trading is at $3.34, that's a $3.3 billion fully diluted valuation. So when we're looking at that and you look at the calculator, that plays a role if your fully diluted valuation is at 3.3 compared to something like 5 or something to that degree. But we're just going to put 3.5 because we've seen this number vary. We've seen it as high as 4.24. We're seeing it at 3.3. Oftentimes it does vary based off of overall market sentiment. But you can see the comparable protocols was like Aster, Hyperliquid, obviously a lot higher. And that's why I think it's important to consider the likes of Lighter with all its metrics slightly less than the likes of Aster. And I think if realistically we come in at a $3 billion valuation, that's still really, really good. Now, the other thing that a lot of people have to also take into consideration is the airdrop percentage. So the percentage of the tokens that are allocated to the airdrop itself. Now, what we saw earlier, and you can keep track of this on Etherscan when you take a look at the overall, official Lighter token details, about 250 million tokens were moved, and that is the expectation that about 25% of the tokens are set aside for the airdrop. Now, 2% of those got moved again, so it leaves about 23% left over. So a lot of people have the expectation that, in fact, about 23% of the tokens right now at the beginning are going to be allocated for an airdrop. The biggest thing is we still don't know the percentage allocations yet. So this is a bit hypothetical, but this is the very, very bare basic expectation. Anything above this is extra. And that is the way that I look at it. Right now, that would mean a $1,349 airdrop, which would actually be pretty decent. Now, here's the thing is if we see the airdrop and the fully diluted valuation being significantly higher, if we see maybe a 30% airdrop and we see the fully diluted valuation at 6 billion, half that of what was Aster's, we calculated this. Obviously, the numbers come back a lot better. But I would say set your standards low, and if things come up higher, then that's even better. So that's kind of what could the value of the airdrop be. The biggest thing is we don't exactly know when the TGE will occur, which leads us to talk about the prediction markets that currently exist for Lighter. Thing you also have to understand is tomorrow on Saturday, there's going to be an AMA with the founder of Lighter. So something to consider, some information may be introduced there. But there's currently, when you look at the trending prediction market, 3 of those are currently, and within the crypto space, are all about Lighter. And you look at the total volume, 43 million, 8 million, that's 12 million. So that's $63 million in total volume simply on Lighter. The token launch, what the fully diluted valuation is going to be, the day that the airdrop will be, and will it perform an airdrop before the likes of December 31st. So I'm going to briefly talk about these and how you can take advantage of these and hedge your positions regardless of what happens. So the biggest question is, what day will the Lighter airdrop be? Now, a lot of expectation is December 29th because we've seen this date used. We also know that XC, the exchange, is getting ready to, they have a process where you can get into the token and get an allocation and start trading it. All on the 29th as well. So there's a lot of things that are lining up for a potential December 29th airdrop. Now, here's the thing is people who are trading the fully diluted valuation, like myself, are having to also consider an airdrop in 2025. Because one of the things a lot of people don't realize about this market here, regardless of whether you're at 1 billion or you're at 14 billion, is the fact that if no airdrop occurs in 2025, so you can see here that the resolution for the source is the most liquid price available. If Lighter doesn't launch a token by the likes of December 31st by midnight, this will resolve in no. So even if the Lighter token launches on, let's just say, January 1st at a $3 billion valuation, you will have lost any of your money that you put into yes. Even though it's over $1 billion, because it happened after the 31st of December, it is no automatically. So something to consider that I think maybe not a lot of people recognize, because it's easy to say, oh yeah, it's going to be worth over $1 billion because it's at $3.33 here. So it's easily going to be over $1 billion, definitely more than likely over $2 billion, most likely over $3 billion. But a lot of people don't realize that there is a time limit associated with this, which is why you're seeing a lot of people hedge their positions with the lighter airdrop buy. Because you can buy, for example, if you're going to buy shares of no, with the expectation there's no airdrop in by December 31st, but you say, yes, it's going to have more than a $2 billion market cap. So if an airdrop doesn't happen, you're going to lose, obviously, your money here on this market. But if airdrop doesn't happen, you make a ton of money by the airdrop not happening, because there's a ton of people expecting it to happen. So for example, if you were to put $100, that means you would make $1,100 on your money if there is no airdrop by December 31st, which your $100 in this example here, if you were to put $100, you're obviously not going to make a whole lot of money. But let's just say you lose this, right? Let's just say there's no airdrop, there's no fully diluted valuation because there's no airdrop in the course of 2025. Yes, you may have lost $100, but at the same time, you would have made $1,100 on the other end. Now, be mindful that if there is an airdrop, you're taking that risk where you're losing that money. So the biggest thing that a lot of people are doing is they're taking this difference here, right? If you're putting in 85 bucks, you're going to win $15, right? So your difference is you want to have that difference of the money that you're putting in to essentially kind of make up for it if you don't win, right? So that's the biggest thing to understand with some of these hedging positions. You can hedge no airdrop at the same time, a high valuation. So something to consider, some of these numbers that you can play around. These do change. I'm not going to give you specific numbers to work with because this has changed from 4% earlier and is sitting at 9%. So this has changed and it changes consistently. So just be mindful of that. But either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you planning on predicting where this is going to land? Where are you going to see lighter, the token airdrop, the valuation, and will it happen in 2025? Because here's the thing, as we've seen, just because it's at 92% doesn't guarantee results, right? We saw this, for example, the Andrew Tate fight versus Chase Demore. Andrew Tate was like at 80-90% chance of winning that fight, and you saw what happened. So just because there's a high percentage chance of something occurring doesn't guarantee it actually happening. So just be mindful of that when it comes to this. In this example, right, you'd only want to risk $15. So if you lose $15 and the airdrop does occur, the money you would have made here, you made $15, you aren't necessarily worried about losing that. And if there is no airdrop, you're putting in 85 bucks, well, you're going to walk away with double that, right? So something to consider, some metrics to play around with. I'm not going to give you the ones I'm using, but I highly recommend that you do your own research and due diligence if you're going to play around with it. So that being said, here's a couple of things that I want to talk about and highlight towards the end of the video, kind of backing up some of this data that we've looked at. So this individual said that he bet 4,000 that the lighter airdrop will be on December 29th. Not sure why it's not at 99% and it's still at 80%. Mexi launched a launchpad that would end on December 29th. And that all previous launch pads are the end always equal to the project's TGE. So is this a free 20%? Maybe, maybe not. That's what this person believes. And you can see he put 4,000 on that. And you can see this has already changed. What day will the airdrop be? This is sitting at 66%. So at one point, it was sitting at 80%. Now it's down to 66%. So you see these numbers do change. And now it's a free 34% potentially in his view. So he's probably down on his position considering it's dropped all the way down to 66 cents when he bought it at 80 cents. So something to always consider. And then this is what I was talking about as far as the tokens that were moved, the 250 million light tokens that were transferred, most likely to the allocation. Unknown because we don't have a breakdown fully on what the airdrop percentages are going to be, but it's something to keep your eye on regardless. The other thing that I would also highlight is you can keep an eye on this official Etherscan see when token movements do happen. And then last but definitely not least is some of the feedback that some people are talking about, as far as no airdrop, because you want to see arguments on both sides of the spectrum. Yes, an airdrop in 2025, no, an airdrop in 2025. This individual said, not gonna lie, a bit tempted to try a small bet on no light airdrop in 2025, almost 13x the money. Talking about the fact that if you have over 1,000 points, you have the opportunity to book a call with the team, and that is all the way to January 5th. So since this feedback is about TGE, probably doesn't mean anything, but still, maybe, maybe not. Is it worth it? Maybe, maybe not, depending on how you want to hedge your predictions. But would love to hear your thoughts on this upcoming lighter airdrop. Do you think it's going to be extremely successful? Are you excited about it? Are you going to sell immediately? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, smash up a like. If you enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. Until next time, guys, stay invested.